guest helps entrepreneurs grow their brands. He's worked with brands like Chick-fil-A, 7-Eleven, KFC, HEB Supermarket, Kroger, and Massage Heights to help them find their uniqueness. He's passionate about guiding motivated people to discover and unleash their unique attributes so they can lead their businesses in a way that helps them stand out. Please welcome brand strategist, marketer, and serial entrepreneur who knows exactly what you're going through, Ed Howie, to the show. How are you?
Yay! I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for carving out some time for us. I really appreciate it.
You know what? Any time I've spent with you has been joyful, so we just get to record it this time.
I know exactly. Well, and I'm so excited because you've got some cool stuff coming up in the new year, but also I really think that what you have to teach people is so powerful because I think as business owners, we can sometimes kind of get lost and forget that being unique is so important. So let's jump into that.
It's funny, like you think about it, the last thing most people want to do is be unique, like in junior high. We're kind of
Totally.
conditioned to blend in. And to me, that's like the antithesis of being a powerful brand because if people don't recognize how you're different, why do they want to give you attention? And that's kind of where the formula starts is you have to, as business owners, as products, we have to, if we don't gain the attention of someone new, we can't truly scale our business, right? And
Absolutely.
so how do you gain attention if there's not uniqueness, not distinctiveness?
Well, and what's the risk too about being too common as a brand? You're going to get overlooked, right?
Well, the word common and the word commodity are very similar.
Mhm.
And while commodities are definitely a way to make money, they're not the way I choose to make money.
Mhm.
And you're definitely not a commodity, Julian. So, the thing about it is that commodities are basically built to be uncommon. Uncommon from the standpoint that they're common from the standpoint they're all identical, the same, but they're uncommon from the standpoint that the market controls their value. Does that make sense? And
Absolutely.
so what I would rather be is be uncommon from the standpoint that I'm distinct, but I'm also able to influence the value I deliver to the market and thus the value the market wants to reimburse me for the goods and services I provide versus there's less of me, therefore I'm more expensive, or there's more of me, therefore I'm less expensive. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, my deal is you could either be like the corn you buy in the grocery store, which is 79 cents a pound, and you have to shuck it or whatever, or you could be the specially frozen, sauteed salt and pepper olive oil bag of frozen corn in the freezer section of Trader Joe's that you buy 12 ounces for $4.79.
I
If
love that.
I'm if I'm gonna be in the market, I want to be at the 4.79 price, not the 79 cents a pound.
Absolutely. Well, and I think too, we kind of, as we get, the day to day of running your business, we forget that that uniqueness is so important. So, what are some things that would help business owners understand how to how to show that uniqueness?
Wow. Okay. So how much time we have? Um,
We've got
so
hours. No, I'm just kidding.
we do. No. Okay. So I think some of the places where we as business owners struggle is that we have an enterprise, right? We are building a business, and that business has a brand, and that business has an identity, that business has a personality. Okay. I think sometimes we can get either too focused on the enterprise that we forget about the functional products and services, or we get so focused on the products and services that we forget about the overall enterprise. Is that tracking with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's use my buddy Tony the Tiger. Okay, I know, right? Okay, so Frosted Flakes, Tony the Tiger is a brand enterprise, right? And so it's part of Kellogg's. I actually got to meet Tony at a trade show recently, and we got photos, and we actually did they're great together. And you'll be seeing that on a video soon. Actually, if you want to drop it in here, I'll send it to you. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I digress. So Tony the Tiger. Okay. Tony the Tiger is a brand enterprise. I mean, I mentioned him, your eyes lit up. Okay.
That's
He's
my
still,
childhood.
I know, right? He's still cereal. He is still cereal. His product is cereal. He is in the world of competition with tons of other cereal. We use cereal as a framework for referencing for branding and marketing because everyone's familiar with cereal, whether you buy it or not, whether you're gluten free or not. And the illustration we use, depending on how big is your grocery store, because I've got some HEB experience, so I know about big grocery stores. Whether your grocery store has 70 linear feet of cereal or 170 linear feet of cereal, think about it. You just got shelf and shelf and shelf of cereal, right? If the world wasn't buying that much cereal, your grocery store would not put that much cereal on the shelf because they're in the business to sell products that move, right?
Right.
Okay, so uniqueness. How does Tony the Tiger stand out in a sea of cereal? It's the story, it's the character, it's the narrative, it's the visual identity, but he still has to make really good frosted flakes every single day. And so I don't know about you, but sometimes I get focused on making the frosted flakes that I forget about the big brand story of the enterprise I built, me or my team. And sometimes I get so excited about the enterprise I'm building. Oh my gosh, that new customer, that I forget about, oh my gosh, am I ensuring that we're making the most perfect frosted flakes every day?
It's so true.
So I think that's the ultimate challenge of being an entrepreneur leader is how do you run the business and grow the business and change the business all at the same time. And the reality is you can't. You have to do the right thing in the right time.
Right. I was just going to say that is very hard to make amazing frosted flakes and have an amazing story at the same time. That's, yeah. I love that example though because it makes total sense. You're absolutely right. Cereal.
Well,
Everyone
think
knows
about
that.
it. I know that you're very process centric, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now I gotta ask. Okay, forensic biology.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about that.
I see dead people. So I think it's probably from my childhood, when I grew up watching Scooby Doo and Unsolved Mysteries, and I love the puzzle of it. And I feel
Okay,
like
puzzle.
that's
Yeah.
when you kind of like look at my journey of the jobs that I had throughout my lifetime, it's definitely why, that was my passion, was to of course help the living, but that led to my journey through financial services and even to this business. It's just like you start to see this evolution, and it's all a puzzle.
It
It's all
is
figuring
puzzle.
out the right steps in the right order to figure it out.
You see that's what to me that's what I love about running businesses
Yeah.
and helping business leaders run their business more optimally, more efficiently. Is that it is a puzzle, and it's just like if Tony the Tiger didn't have systems in place to make perfect frosted flakes when he's not there, I couldn't have had that great relationship with him last Wednesday in Chicago because he was too busy making the cornflakes,
Right.
And so that's we as leaders, our team have to have the ability to ensure that we are delivering on the promises we have given the world, put out there, our existing clients, those that we're wooing. But then also we have to continue to woo new customers, but not forget about the existing ones.
Well, and let's talk about your new book, Woo, Not Woo. I love that name.
Yeah,
I'm never going to forget that.
that's the goal. That's the goal. You want to be distinct, but you also want to be memorable.
Yes.
So, I mean, the formula. So, let me tell you a little bit about my background, which will kind of explain. So, while I'm a strategist and I'm a marketer and I'm an idea guy, I really love profits. Okay, and because to me, profits are one of the indicators of stewardship, and that is that you created more than you started with, which I think really is the heart of true entrepreneurs, true business leaders, is we want to create something of value. And we want to create something of value that is distinct, that is unique.
Absolutely.
Not many of us go, oh my gosh, this person's doing this, I can do that too, and want to do it the same way, right? Okay, so so we're talking about childhood. I started off working for Chick-fil-A when I was 15. This is like 1982. And so this is Chick-fil-A before nuggets. This is Chick-fil-A before waffle fries. This is like a sandwich, French fries, sodas, lemonade, coleslaw, all that kind of stuff. In a malls, no freestanding, only malls. And so I worked for Chick-fil-A in high school and college. I went to school at North Carolina, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, go Tar Heels. And then I got recruited. Well, before I explain that, the summer between my junior and senior year at Chapel Hill, I got an opportunity to intern with Chick-fil-A. Now this was June of 1988. I'm 20 years old, and they sent me off to Norman, Oklahoma, where OU is, and I ran a $500,000 restaurant as a 20-year-old for 2.5 months. So as a 20-year-old, I had 2.5 P&Ls under my belt going into my senior year. It led to them interviewing and recruiting me to be on staff to help other operators sell more chicken to make more money. And what's interesting is they gave me the opportunity to either be a marketing consultant or to be a business consultant. The difference was that basically, as a business consultant or a field consultant, my job was to help the overall business. As a marketing consultant, my job was going to be help operators purely on the sales and brand. I chose being a marketer and feeling like I had the DNA. Providentially, I mean, God inspired, I chose operations because I wanted to understand the full picture of business, not just marketing. Okay. So for 10 years, my job was fly around the company and help incredible business leaders sell more chicken and make more money. And so my team and I can be the most clever marketers I believe you can invest in. Our foundation is if the operation doesn't deliver on the brand, it doesn't matter how cool or clever your logo or your brand is. It just doesn't matter, because what your customers want. Can you hear that phone? Sorry about
I know.
that. Oh, cool. Perfect. All right. So the deal about it is that if you cannot operationalize your brand, it doesn't matter how charming Tony the Tiger is. If the cornflakes suck, who cares how clever the brand is, right? So with working with brands for over 30 years, Chick-fil-A, tons of incredible business people, H-E-B Grocery, now a $32 billion, $33 billion grocery enterprise. I was responsible for operations over 300 stores, which also had 24 restaurants and 2 drive-through restaurants. I love marketing, I love creativity, but my foundation is in operational excellence. And that is where we can lose sight of. So, winning others over and over. Our hypothesis, our belief, which we're very confident in, is that every single customer, existing, new, potential, wants to be won over. And they want to be won over and over and over again. And even though we're not supposed to be judgmental, we're constantly assessing the environment. And so let's use driving into your favorite restaurant. You drive into the parking lot, you can't find a parking space, poo. All of a sudden one opens up, woo. You pull in and there's a bunch of trash. When you step out, someone poured out their milkshake and no one cleaned it up. You step into like nasty milkshake, poo. You walk to the door, someone opens the door for you and they smile at you, say, hey, good to see you, woo. You walk in and the place feels like it looks clean, woo. Someone's ready to seat you or serve you, woo. You order a spinach artichoke dip and they're out, poo. That we're constantly assessing the woo level and the poo level of all our interactions. And the deal is that powerful brands woo and sucky brands poo. And every customer wants woo and no one wants poo. So how do you make it happen? Well, it doesn't start with the cleverness of your logo. It starts with truly understanding what your customers want and then delivering on that over and over again. So WOO stands for a well-orchestrated brand, a well-operationalized brand, and a well optimized brand. And that there's a process for building your brand to, first, what do our customers want? Second, how will I deliver that to them? And third, how do I ensure that we deliver it over and over again? Because as deliberate as we are as leaders, as entrepreneurs, most of us tend to want the next customer more than we want the existing customer.
It brings it
We
back
tend
to
to
that
get,
you gotta fish in your own pond, right?
well, you got to fish in your own pond, but you got to like remember that the most profitable customer you have is the customer you have.
Absolutely.
However, most of us spend more time celebrating acquiring the new customer than we do keeping the customer we have.
Yeah, celebrating
And
that customer
so
that we already have.
that's right. So how do you systemize verifying you're doing the right thing, verifying you're actually doing it, and then verifying you're doing it consistently? Because the challenge with powerful brands, just like Chick-fil-A, which I consider one of the most powerful brands, is that you get so conditioned to near perfection that when they miss, like they did last week for me twice, it's like shocking. It doesn't necessarily affect your loyalty, but they've set the standard so high that when for some reason, somehow we miscommunicated and they put my egg white grill, which always comes on a muffin, on a biscuit once. And then I went through the drive-through again to say, hey, you messed it up. It was on a biscuit. I really needed it on a muffin. I get to the window and it's on a biscuit again.
Oh no.
There was something systemically that didn't work right in that system. Okay. Now, because of my thousands and hundreds of thousands of visits with Chick-fil-A still, it's not like I wasn't going to not come back. But sometimes peak performing brands, they don't know how to behave when they're not perfect. Do you follow college football at all?
Yes.
Okay, so how many times has Alabama lost recently? Not many. They lost to A&M recently, and Saban lost to one of his former assistant coaches. Never happened.
Wow.
And so that's a situation where a peak performing brand, if you will, when you mess up, sometimes you don't know how to behave. So you have to not only systemize how to be perfect or how to be the best you can, you have to have a plan in place that when things aren't perfect, what are you going to do? And frankly, I love Chick-fil-A to death. I think they're really struggling that when they do mess up, their employees don't know how to deal with it because they're not as attuned to that level of customer service, because it's more about just perfection throughput versus
What's
relationship.
interesting about Chick-fil-A? So over here in Washington, we just got Chick-fil-A. We've never had it, we've never been exposed to it. And I
Oh,
will tell
no.
you that their level of customer service and perfection, for lack of a better word, was shocking. Like,
Yeah.
the normal fast food restaurants that we have access to here in Washington are very poo. And so
Yeah,
you just kind of get used to that level of poo. And then when Chick-fil-A rolls into town, you're like, dang, dude, okay, this
exactly.
is what it's supposed to be like. I mean,
Exactly.
it's crazy that as of right now, knock on wood, they have not messed up. And I'm just like, this is shocking to me when every other restaurant you go to, it's always a screw up. So it's
Well,
amazing
and
how they're perfecting it.
it starts with operational process.
Yes.
In my book, I talk about the fact that when I was a team member, so it had been like 1983, 1984, they rolled out a thing called the Chick-fil-A quality requirements, the quality requirements guide. It was called Chick-fil-A, the quality way, I think, or something like that. And so, as a 17-year-old, I was given the definition of dirty because they told me the definition of clean. There was a quality requirement that floors must be clean. Okay. But then there was so the requirement was the floors need to be clean. The clarification or the specification was floors must be free of dust, dirt, oil buildup, and in good repair. So they must be free of dust, dirt, oil buildup, and in good repair. Those four things must be in place to consider the floors clean. And they had requirements, they established requirements for every single aspect of the business. Okay, that was what, 15, nearly 30 years ago.
Wow.
Think about the clarity that if a 17-year-old, now again, I lived in that world for a long time, so I'm not saying that I would recall it as a 17-year-old if I'd left, 6 months later. But think about the clarity of, speaking to you and I as business owners and to our audiences. Does your team clearly understand what good looks like for your brand? What clean looks like? Is it explicit that to consider your floors clean, they have to have these four things? Is it explicit that if you're selling, if you have a tire business and you change out and sell tires and service tires, that these are the four things that must happen on every single customer experience? If we're selling marketing solutions and campaign and marketing services to our clients, is my team clear that every single customer needs to be served in these three ways? And so you think about powerful brands, we get so enchanted with the marketing. The marketing is irrelevant if it doesn't happen at the point of contact. And that's the whole basic principle for Woo, is that you can actually systemize being a wooful brand. Because think about it, no one likes poo. Okay, so what is poo? Well, we believe that poo happens when only when one or more of three things happen. It was poorly orchestrated. Your customers don't want mustard on their sausage biscuit. Okay, so you had the wrong idea. Second is, it was poorly orchestrated. Your customers, poorly orchestrated, poorly operationalized. Number two, I got distracted by the mustard on the biscuit because it's kind of a Southern thing. But anyway, so you validated that your customers want mustard on the biscuit, but you can't figure out how to make sure every single employee puts it on the biscuits. Okay, so you haven't trained them that it's 3 squirts across or 2 squirts across, whatever. Okay, so you haven't operationalized it. You haven't made that a requirement that when someone orders a sausage biscuit, it gets mustard. Or worse, third, it is poorly optimized. Your supply chain can't keep mustard in the restaurants. Mustard costs 3 times the amount of money you thought it would when you established the price, and now you've conditioned your customers to want sausage biscuit with mustard, but the mustard is causing you to lose 12 cents on every biscuit you sell because you didn't operationalize it right, you didn't optimize it from a profitability standpoint. Or poorly optimized from the standpoint of your team members have to do so many things at the same time that they're making those biscuits that sometimes they get the mustard on and sometimes they don't.
One thing that I always ask every podcast guest is what's the one piece of advice that you would share with small business owners? But I feel like you just did that, because that right there is like everything. Like if you don't have those things, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and I mean, the deal is no one wants a 1-star review on Yelp, right? Okay, and I know that some of our audience, some of our community are more B2B, but I really believe if you break things down to restaurants or grocery stores, it applies to every single business. Whether you're selling super high pressure, powerful medical devices, it's still a human relationship. There's still a human relationship, whether it be B2B, B2C. So let's just assume most people agree with that, is that the times you're disappointed by a service provider is they either didn't understand what you wanted, they didn't do it that day, or they're doing it inconsistently, so you don't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. Your Chick-fil-A, going back to them, so consistent that it does create a significant anomaly when they put your egg white grill on a biscuit. I mean, great idea, higher fat, higher carbs, and messes up macros, not going there. But then think about another one of the fast food experiences you've had before Chick-fil-A arrived. Your scale of expectation was much lower, right?
Absolutely. They blew my socks off when I was like, wait, what?
So the things that you would tolerate in the past, you don't tolerate as much,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the deal is that you probably don't, and I don't like zinging brands, but let's just say Burger King, who I love the Whopper.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole episode on Whoppers, but anyway, on how I grow a brand. But um, you know, sometimes you go to brands and you're just so excited when it's right, right? You're just like,
Yes.
wow, okay. In some ways, you can impress. Inconsistent brands can almost impress more sometimes when they just over deliver, but that's not a very healthy way to live your business and to lead your business. And so we believe that you can prevent pulling your customers if you ensure your brand is well orchestrated, well operationalized, and well optimized. And you can literally map it out. You can literally, and again, I don't care what you're selling, whether you're selling copiers or chicken sandwiches, you can think about what relationship does your customer have to your brand. Like, for example, sales meeting at 10:30 to pitch the new copiers. Did you take time to imagine what the person you're meeting with today is out 2 hours before are going to be like before then? Yeah, so everybody can bring a box of donuts or whatever, just the expected thing. But and again, this is like off the top of my head, but I was at a restaurant recently, and they had a vitamin C burst where it was a glass of orange juice and it was a half orange and it was a little package of that emergency,
Uh-huh.
that powder that you put in.
Mm-hmm.
And so it literally was like, take the emergency, pour it into the orange juice, stir it up. I'm not a physician, so this is not a medical recommendation. And then you had a fresh orange. So, as I'm clearing my throat, I was thinking, everybody can bring like unhealthy donuts.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you were to bring someone some orange juice and a fresh orange and some emergency and just say, hey, I'm guessing you have a busy day. Maybe this will help. Again, just a wild brainstorm off the top of my head. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying is if we can imagine what relationship we have with our customers aside from the transaction, it can give us pretty insights into being even more deliberate and creative about how we can woo them and how they want to be wooed.
Well, and I think that ties it back to what you mentioned at the beginning of this podcast was that's unique. People are going to remember that. People, if
Yeah,
someone is dragging that day, a glass of orange juice is going to be something different, something they're going to remember, and something, quite frankly, they might need.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, and maybe you do it for the next 10 customers you visit with. If you're a pharmaceutical salesperson, you're trying to set yourself apart and you can't do all the stuff you used to do legally. It's those little things. But the deal is, it's kind of interesting. It's operationalized, but it's also personalized. And I think that's really where, as you talked about the first question about being unique, another word we use is distinct. And
Mm-hmm.
distinct is the ability of being able to tell the difference between you and something else. We use a thing. So we do a lot of we're brand storytellers. B2I Creative is one of my primary businesses. It is we are a marketing department for hire, basically. Those brands we worked with, as you shared, some of them. We worked with them in various forms in helping them sell more of what they have. Okay. One of our clients we worked with for over 10 years here in South Texas, they have 20 urgent care locations. And we have been as busy the last 2 years as we've ever been. And what's interesting is our service to the community became much more of just trying to get people in their clinics versus other clinics. It was truly a matter of life and death, a matter of public health. And so we had to get very creative in ways of communicating education and hopefully inspirational messages, apolitical, around what's truly happening and what are the pros and cons of vaccines and what does it need to get tested and all this kind of stuff. And so, this really, the last 2 years of that really is put to reality of how your intentions must be pure and your message must be true. Okay. So I say that to say that this distinctness that comes into it is that if if we cannot, if we do not take the time to imagine the life of our customer and the emotions and the connections and what we're really doing to serve them, empathy maybe, sympathy maybe,
Hmm.
whatever it may be, is that we run the risk of not being distinct, of just being another person changing tires or making chicken sandwiches or selling copiers.
I agree. I'm so glad that you took time out of your very busy schedule to chat with me because there's so many things that I feel like we could literally spend hours talking about. But
I know.
where can people find out more about you? Where can people find out more about the book, your brand, how you can help them, share their uniqueness?
Oh, for sure. So edhowie.com is kind of like the magic epicenter of everything around our book and my keynoting, my speaking. We'll be expanding some services where we will be providing some direct consulting services to people who just want to like walk through a strategy. So one of the ways we believe you get to distinctiveness, to uniqueness, is identifying your boldestness, your truestness, and your youestness. I'm not afraid to make up words, but basically B2Y stands for boldest, truest you.
Hmm.
And to go into unique, distinct, you have to figure out the things that are going to set yourself apart from your competition. And your competition is not always direct, as you know. Sometimes it's indirect. It's like I can spend money here, or I could buy another air conditioning unit for the office. Do I want to invest in business consulting services? Do I want to invest in digital marketing, or do I want to buy a new air conditioner? You know what I mean? So it's not always direct. So we have a proven model that we can help you just define ways that you can be more distinct. In addition, my first book, Woo Not Poo, will be available hopefully by late spring, summer of 2022. Wow, that's bizarre to say. And the book is cool. I love keynoting. I got an opportunity to keynote recently to a bunch of oil and gas engineers and to help them explore ways that they could actually woo their customers. And it was literally a foreign concept to them. And it was so well received from the standpoint that it all comes back to stewardship, which is doing all you can with what you have.
Hmm.
And so if we can help anybody do more with what they've got, not necessarily have to buy more to do more, but what do you got? How can you do more with it? That's really where our heart and passion is. So at howie.com, our YouTube channel is How We Grow a Brand. We have a YouTube program, as you know, How We Grow a Brand. Been around, we're in the second season right now, but there's tons of great episodes on there. We're both quick movers, right?
Hmm.
Maybe easily
Absolutely.
distracted. And so intentionally, the YouTube episodes are 10 to 15 minutes. We don't have any hour and a half long plays. Basically, in a commute on the way between the office and somewhere else, you can hopefully get some wisdom and get some inspiration. And then the last thing is that this is all great, but my number one mission in life is to inspire a million joys.
I love that.
And so, any way we can help do that, we'd love to. And I consider it a joy knowing you, that's for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, and I want to tell everybody that they need to check out your Instagram channel too because you posted a bloopers video that cracked me up of you recording the podcast and I was just like, I just love to see that in people like this is real life. You know what I mean? We're
It
not ever
is real life.
I loved it. And I was just like, this is like Ed Howie as a person. Like to know you and be like, that's just his personality. I thought it was awesome. So, for everybody out there listening, make sure that you check out the website, the YouTube channel, the podcast, his Instagram. You will not regret it. It is amazing. So, thank you again so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it.